Dale alegría a tu cuerpo Macarena, que tu cuerpo te da alegría, cosa buena. Dale alegría a tu cuerpo Macarena, hey Macarena, yeah. I know right now a lot of you are jealous, wishing you could join in, but you can. Just back up the video, jump up in the middle of the library and sing, and other people will join you. True story. Back in 1915, there was a lot of concern about alcohol. Some people were trying to make it illegal, and the proponents of the prohibition were saying if fewer people drank alcohol, then we would have fewer problems of all these other crimes. It's interesting how these same kind of arguments have propped up recently over marijuana and things. Now, this was a data set, true data set, which the people against prohibition made up to show other people how dumb they thought they were. And here's the data they found. They did the number of ministers related to the sales of alcohol. And guess what they found out? When you have more ministers of a particular religion, which will remain anonymous because this is 2015 and people get offended, the more ministers you have, the more the sales of alcohol go up. This is true, and even today this graph is still true. Does that mean that we can lower the amount of alcohol being bought if we get rid of ministers? And that was their argument. Now, in this case, it's not true that getting rid of ministers would cause alcohol sales to go down, because there's something else going on here. Something which I wrote up there, I gotta stop doing that. It really spoils the punchline. It's called a lurking variable. In some books I have seen it called confounding variables. This is the only term we're using in this class. But identifying lurking variables is one of the top 5 hardest things in this class. So in this entire chapter, this is by far the hardest part of this chapter. Now, if you want a chance to try to guess what the lurking variable is, you better pause it, because I'm going to tell you the lurking variable here is population. You see, a big city like Houston has more ministers and more sales of alcohol just because it's a bigger city. Meanwhile, down here at Laramie, we have fewer ministers, fewer alcohol, because there's fewer people here. Denver would have a lot of alcohol, but also a lot of ministers. It's a bigger town. I think Tokyo's the biggest city. I should really look that up before I permanently record this. Cedar City is where I grew up. It's a fairly small town. There's even a place called Mitsitsi. I'm not making that up. It's a city in Wyoming. Now, would lowering the number of ministers change the amount of alcohol? Well, not necessarily. It's population that's driving higher sales of alcohol and higher number of ministers. It's population that matters, not that these two have a direct correlation. So let me write it this way. We have alcohol being sold. We have ministers in a town. And what these people were saying is you could make a correlation that ministers are causing you to drink more alcohol. That's not lurking variable. That's showing that correlation is not causation. You could also make the argument that if there's more alcohol, that's causing more ministers. Again, correlation, but not causation. A lurking variable is a separate bubble. In this case, population. And population drives alcohol sales to go up, and it drives the number of ministers to go up. When I make lurking variable questions, I usually have an x and a y, and I talk about could x cause y, could y cause x. But neither one of those is a lurking variable. A lurking variable is something separate, which explains both. And once you can see the lurking variable, it kind of breaks these connections, which is what you see over here. Is the number of ministers causing the alcohol? No, it's just the size of the city. When I make these questions also, I'll often put something like fruit sales cause alcohol sales to go up. Well, that has nothing to do with it. Fruit sales doesn't react to ministers. A lurking variable does both. Another common wrong answer is to say, as the number of ministers goes up, the church attendance goes up, and because church attendance goes up, that makes people, how would that work? Church attendance goes up, people drink alcohol. I don't know. The point is, some X causes Z and Z causes Y. Well, that's still some sort of causation. It's just causation through a middle thing. That is not a lurking variable. A lurking variable can cause X on its own, and it can cause Y on its own. And once you understand the lurking variable, X and Y don't seem related anymore.